So for today's tutorial, we've got my grandpa in the chair. He's one of the men that I've been cutting for the longest time. And we just do a classic scissor cut. We're gonna take it up off the ears maybe just leave it just resting on the ears, clean up the neckline, go square around there. And today we're actually gonna put a side part in there just for some flair. Let's get started. So as always, I'm gonna start by wetting down the hair. And while I'm wetting the hair, I'm just assessing all the growth patterns, density, changes in density, and changes in head shape. And that's going to make my decision making, or it's going to give me a lot more information to make decisions. And when I'm making decisions, I can use information, and that way I'm not just using a cookie cutter approach on every single person's head. I'm actually changing my approach depending on those certain fixed factors that we can't change on each and every client. So I'm looking at things like this, how it's popping up, looking for any cowlicks in the front. Now when I am doing a side parting, where I put that box section is where my parting is actually going to live. So I want to make sure that I use a natural parting so they will easily be able to find it, because if you put it in somewhere where his hair's not naturally going to part, then your client isn't going to be able to find that natural parting or that parting as easy as you. So while assessing his head shape, I notice that it's flat on the side. It doesn't round too much and too early. So all that changes is I'm going to use more of a vertical section angle, and I'm going to use more of a flat cutting line, because if I use more diagonal and more of a triangle cutting line, I'm going to build more weight. And I don't want to build too much weight on his head because it's going to start bowing out, because we don't need to counteract any roundness. If it was rounding early, then we could elect to use those more diagonal sections and the more triangle cutting line. Start by adjusting his head into a position that's comfortable for me and for him. I choose my cutting line. Remember saying I'm staying quite flat, so I don't want to angle my fingers too much. We're just doing a light to medium trim. It doesn't need to be too much. Once we've done that first section, we can comb it down and have a look and see if we've achieved the result we were after. And if we have, which we have, we'll start to move on. Making sure my hair stays groomed. Now this is important because I'm moving behind the ear. Once I move behind the ear, I must tilt his head down, because if I don't, I've got to manipulate my body position into an uncomfortable position. So I tilt his head down, I groom the hair properly, I take my section, I split and I groom. So this is the bit I was talking about. Because I'm not pulling it up here, look at that, look how much would come off. But I pull it down here, look how far this hair is traveling to reach the cutting line. See the flat shape? This corner wasn't built from lower elevation, it was actually just built from his head, where his head is. I'm going to re-wet it. because that's step number one. If you need to, check your length from both sides. Then groom your hair. Remaining flat. Next section. With this little bit, what I like to do, I like to turn my comb and just hook that over this side of the ear. And see all that traveled this way. Then I groom. Because the really annoying part is that little bit around the ear. So if you just use the last tooth of your comb just to really hook that in, you'll find it gets a lot easier. Now we don't need section number 1 in our hands right now, we only need section number 2 and section number 3. But there's my section from the other side. So now a little point here is you don't want to lift this section up because you're going to change the elevation. So you've got to make sure that our finger placement stays consistent. So groom in the direction we're going to take the section. Take the section. It's a little bit too far. Groom in the direction you're going to take the section. Take the section. Groom the section away. Hit the section up. My feet move with my section because I'm cutting a round shape. If you can see my shape from there, it sort of goes like this. Around the head, and then continues. I don't continue around. Groom. Groom. And now we're going to cut the top. We're going to use our guide from here to create our layers. I'm going to take one vertical section, and then I'm going to use my vertical section as a guide for my horizontal sections. What this is going to allow me to do is control my horizontal shape more easily, because I want to create a square shape on one side and a horizontal, I want to create a square shape on one side and a round shape on the other, because the hair is going to travel this way. So, as always, we groom, I take, I split, and I groom. Same thing. So you can see I'm going to use this as a guide right there. And I'm going to check my length at the front. See, there's not actually that much, but in the middle, there'll be a bit more that comes off. Making sure my comb's flat. Fingers are flat against the comb. And I move forward down the section. So I've cut this panel round. It's going to sweep back. Now this side, we're going to cut square. So I'm going to comb that towards where that section was and follow the exact same process. So make sure I groom. Make sure I groom everything nice and tight. Take my section, come a little bit further forward. There we go. There's not much to take off because we did it round. If we did it square, there'd be much more disconnection. I'm going to blow dry some paste into his hair. This is going to give me some control, and it's also going to give me some hold, which is going to allow me to blow dry his hair into a shape that I want. So I'm going to use a vent brush, and I'm going to just follow the same pattern that I cut in. Switching hands. Making sure I focus on the roots.